Hi, welcome again. Now we have access to the Unreal Engine 5 preview version, so which is somewhat closer to the stable version that we can see in a couple of months from now. Here I'm trying to explore the typical landscape experience that we used to have in Unreal Engine, and I'm trying to use that in Unreal Engine 5. I found something interesting, so this is about it. And here I'm using the open land as the landscape material, but I think if you use some other landscape material or something custom, that's totally fine, because I'm here talking about something generic, not anything specific to open land also. Right, so first thing is, if you have created an Unreal Engine 5 preview project, the new version, and do not try to open that using the file browser. If you double click the Unreal Engine project, it will open with the Unreal Engine 5 early access version if you have the early access version. So always open the Unreal Engine 5 preview browser from the Epic launcher or from the desktop icon if you have that, and then with that try to open the project you have already created or create a new one. So that's the process that you want to use, otherwise you will be in trouble because you are testing the early access version. Right, about the appearance, when you load the Unreal Engine 5, it's quite similar to the early access version, but here we have some colorful icons for most of the things, and then we have a special place for the landscape mode and the foliage mode, and it took me a couple of minutes to figure out where the landscape tool exists in my project, and currently it's on the left of your screen. Maybe now you don't need to worry about finding that. All right, now let's talk about the Lumen. So that's something I'm excited about. I don't know why this is something with Lumen or not. The image or the view that we see here is quite sharp and it's quite detailed, and I can feel the difference from here. So let me go on the full screen mode, and you can clearly see something quite sharp here. And here's the same project in Unreal Engine 4.27, and this is how it looks like. It's the same lighting conditions, and you can see you don't see much detail on the sand over here. But if you think about the Unreal Engine 5 preview project, and it looks quite nice. Maybe it's something with Lumen. I have no idea how it works, but it's something quite interesting to see. Here in Unreal Engine 4.27, I can increase the screen percentage to 200, and I can get somewhat similar result. But here in Unreal Engine 5, I don't need to worry about that. I try to increase this screen percentage slider. It seems like it won't do anything. Maybe they have maximized this to 200 or so, but I really have no idea. But anyway, it looks really nice. Clearly, we have the Lumen support for landscape. In Unreal Engine 5 early access version, we didn't have that. So I can click this lit button. I can select the Lumen, and overview. I can see some Lumen based like maps over here, and that's quite good. I can only see the things close to my screen. So I think that's how Lumen works. If it doesn't need to know about things that in the far, it doesn't make sense to calculate those things. And about the overall look and feel is pretty good in Unreal Engine 5 compared with the Unreal Engine 5 early access and 4.27. All right, now let's talk about grass rendering. So here grass are quite nice. This is a texture-based grass card system, and right now I can clearly see some normal details, and it looks nice in the Unreal Engine 5 preview version. In the early access version, it didn't look this good. It had some dark shadows, and I really didn't like it. Then if you think about the Unreal Engine 4.27 or 4.26, and it's a complete the other way around. In this grass, you don't see much details, and this is the for Unreal Engine 5, and this is the Unreal Engine 4. So I don't know, you can see this from the YouTube's compressions algorithm and so, but it has a clear differentiation. All right, now let's talk about the performance. Here I'm in Unreal Engine 5 full screen mode. Let me turn on some of the stats. All right, let me play my game. So here I'm using a 3080 RTX 3080 GPU, and you can clearly see that I'm getting almost 60 frames a second with this amount of grass, and I'm quite Not sure that's something good, because let me show you in 4.27. Let me turn on the same stats. So I can clearly get around 120 frames per second. I even tried with the RTX 2060, which is a quite entry-level GPU for desktops, and it gave me about like 70 to 80 frames per second. With 3080, I can clearly get 120 or more. So it didn't really affect the performance of my game, and I really like this because grass is not something that part of your gameplay, that it's something visual. If you spend a lot of resources on that, it's quite wasteful. But in Unreal Engine 5, a lot of resources is going to rent to the grass, so that's something unfortunate. So I can show you. I can simply hide the grass here in my material instance. With OpenLAN, I have a quick slider, so I can turn off grass, and then I can play my game. Now you can see I'm getting 120 frames per second. So the 60 frame drop is totally coming from the grass rendering system. So that's something you need to think about if you're using Unreal Engine 5 for games actually, and if you're using a lot of foliage, and that could be problematic. All right, now let's talk about runtime virtual texture support. Here RVT works fine, just like 4.27 and for Unreal Engine 5 early access. So you can simply use the same workflow that you have used to. In OpenLAN, it's just about like running a simple button and selecting some items from the drop down. It just works. Then you can easily blend static meshes with the ground, and it works just fine. Here with OpenLAN, we usually have something called RVT cache mode. So basically it's a RVT sampling. So we sample the virtual texture and use that as the landscape texture. And sometimes it's good for performance, but there are some other things like you can render decals and you can print roads to landscape easily with this one. So if I turn on this checkbox, it will crash here in Unreal Engine 5 preview. I remember I got the same issue in early access as well. So here's how to fix that. If you're using OpenLAN, file, new level, simply open a new level. Then go to your material instance. In this case, I have a custom one, but in your case, it could be the default one. Just open your material instance and then turn on the RVT cache option. Save this. Then you can open the map again, the usual map. Then it will have the RVT based things. For example, here we have a RVT based landscape decals. So I can move here and there, and they work just like in Unreal Engine 4. If I look at the closer, it looks fine. And if I go a little bit far away, it doesn't look really good. I think there are some things that need to fix in the virtual texture pipeline in Unreal Engine 5. I don't know. It's not work exactly as 4.27. In 4.27, it works just fine. But here you can see some blurred textures here and there, and that's something I'm quite worried about. All right, now about the displacement. As you expected, there is no displacement support in a preview version as well. So that's quite unfortunate. And the solution that we can use to get landscape displacement is using the virtual Heightfield mesh plugin. Unfortunately, with the preview version, I could make it done. I could actually be able to like get some details displacement using the Heightfield mesh plugin with the OpenLAN setup. But sometimes it's not stable. There are some like flashing things on the screen, and I really didn't like it because there's nothing to show even for this demo. So, and it crashed quite often. I couldn't find a reason. And in the early access, it worked just fine. I have seen some recent commits to the Unreal Engine 5 main branch. I guess that's the reason. There are some compatibility issues. Maybe they haven't tested that quite fully. I don't know. All right, the next thing is world partition support. And I haven't tested that fully, but I guess there could be some changes. And I know they have implemented the large coordinate system. Basically, now we have the double precision support. So we have the large floating point numbers, and that's quite good. And here, if you create a new level, we have the open world icon. So basically, it will create a new level with some sort of like world partition landscape. You can see here, and it's a huge landscape. I can go to a place like this, right click and move camera here. I can go like this. You can see some Unreal Engine 5 logo here with some like a lake or so. And let me go somewhere here, right? And it works quite nice. It has a good frame rate for sure. And let me see how they made this lake. Oh, okay, it's something fake. It's not actually a lake. It's just so basically it's just a texture. It's just a paint layer. So they made some like it's something fake. It's not an actual water system. And so I guess this is some sort of static landscape they made using some sort of external tool. So basically I don't have any landmass plugin enabled, so I don't think this is something a procedural generator thing inside the engine. I need to like dig into this more and try to see what are the new changes in the world partition pipeline. And I have made a video about the world partition for landscape in early access, and just check the description below so you can get started with that one. I hope the workflow is the same for preview version as well. And there were some bugs in the early access, quite critical bugs. I hope they have fixed them in the preview version. Anyway, I'll check in a couple of days and I'll give you a demo about that. Alright, this is about the Unreal Engine 5 preview version and how it affects our current landscape building workflow. It seems like there are some improvements, and at the same time it cost us in performance. Also, there are things like Heightfield mesh, quite unstable. They used to be work fine in 4.27. So maybe it seems like either Epic is not really thinking about landscapes in general for games, so they want us to use static meshes for everything, or maybe they are working with something very powerful behind the scenes that we have no idea about. So I'll stop you with a question like that. Anyway, Epic, you need to think about this and give us an update, because everyone is asking about test isolation and how about the future of landscapes in Unreal would be. All right, see you soon with something interesting. Bye.